So many of us busy entrepreneurs, we get disconnected from ourselves. And it's a very simple practice of using our breath to then reconnect to ourselves so that we can have that clarity and we can have that alignment, both in business and in our personal life.
Welcome to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg.
All right, we're live in Laguna Beach today from the Ben Reinberg I Own It studios. And we just keep bringing incredibly talented women on our show, and today is no exception. Her passion is to help people clear mental and physical blockages by using their breath, which is really an incredible way to stay healthy. And she wants people to show up as their authentic self with more purpose, clarity, and alignment, which I'm a huge believer of and a fan of this woman. Dr. Shannon Sperber, welcome to the show. It's so good to see you.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for having me.
And you look fantastic. So let's get right into it and show our listeners how special you really are, okay?
Awesome.
All right. So many of our listeners aren't familiar with breath work. And I'm hoping you could start by discussing some of the fundamental principles of working with your breath, including like what are the benefits and how does it work?
Sure. So the particular type of breath that I use is somatic breath. So soma meaning body. So it's using your breath to get in touch with your body. So many of us busy entrepreneurs, we get disconnected from ourselves. And it's a very simple practice of using our breath to then reconnect to ourselves so that we can have that clarity and we can have that alignment, both in business and in our personal life. So the breath that I use is pretty intense. It's a 90-minute experience, and it's all in and out of the mouth. So it's creating this pH change in your body when you're hyperoxygenating. And as that pH changes in your body, the frontal lobe, that executive functioning part of your brain, slows down. And then that allows the primal part of your brain, your subconscious, to then open up. And when we can access that part of the brain, our subconscious, it's really powerful. And that's because our subconscious controls about 96% of our behavior on a daily basis. So if we're able to access this part of the brain that's controlling 96% of my choices, triggers, actions, it can be a really powerful thing.
Yeah, that's outstanding. I do a lot of training on that as well. Are typical clients just flying in to come see you and then they do your work with you, or is it more group settings? What's typical a day for you with your clients?
So my passion is groups. I do a lot of men's groups, but also just a lot of high-level entrepreneurs. There's a big thing right now where we've gotten away from community. And so when I work in these groups, I really stress the fact that we're communal beings and we're meant to do things in community. And so taking them through this experience together as a group gives them permission to go in a little bit deeper and express a little bit more. Because if someone next to you starts expressing, let's say they're screaming or crying or yelling, or that's then going to give me permission, like, oh shit, yeah, maybe I'm feeling something too that I need to release. And then that gives me permission. And then at the end, when they all are done and they come together and they're like, oh my gosh, we just went through this, awesome experience as a group, and you held space for me and you held space for me. It makes it that much more powerful. I do one-on-one sessions as well. But I've found that in the entrepreneurial space, the group setting just is more beneficial.
So we teach our kids when they get upset to take a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
So physiologically, how does that help us calm down? Can you share more about the connection between the mind and the body?
So if you think about it, we have a stimulus and we have a response, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There usually isn't much space in between. But that space in between is our consciousness. So if we have a stimulus and we're able to take that space and take a breath or count to 10 or all those little tricks that we say to our kids, then we're consciously choosing what our response is going to be. So yes, we're taught that as a child, but oftentimes then by adulthood, we have forgotten that skill. And it's so simple, and you take that time to just connect with yourself, and then you have a choice of how you want to respond rather than your subconscious taking over and responding to that trigger automatically.
So the lesson is take a step back, take a breath, think about what's going on, and then react.
Right. But now we're going to kind of get into the nervous system a little bit.
Okay.
It's hard to take a step back and think about your reaction if your nervous system isn't regulated. So the breath work that I do is training your nervous system how to regulate, So if you think about all the stress that we go through on a daily basis, right? We're constantly reacting to this stress. And maybe our calm baseline is right here, but every time we react, we're coming up, and then we come back down to baseline. Then we react, we come up, we come back down to baseline. A lot of people know that as fight or flight, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But what happens with stressed out entrepreneurs is they go up in that fight or flight and they don't come back down to baseline. They're not regulating their nervous system to a point where they can react and then come back down. So the breath work that I do takes them through this process where they're stressed in this breathwork experience, but then they're taught how to then regulate and come back down in a non-stressful manner. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. I love that.
Yeah.
So what are your favorite breathing exercises? Can we practice one or two together now?
Oh, sure.
What do you think? All right.
Yeah,
Like, what's the menu? Is there like a menu of like, you have anxiety, I got this breathing technique.
Yes.
You're about to do a big negotiation, I got this breathing technique.
Yep.
It sounds a little bit like meditating in a way.
It is in a way. And a lot of times, I think the three main ones that people want are for sleep, for anxiety, and then the opposite when they're feeling tired. Sometimes we wake up and we feel like shit, and it's like, oh, I just need something to get me going.
Right.
So, yes, it is a recipe.
Right. So let's go at it. Like, which should we do? The one that will promote energy?
Yeah.
Let's do all three. Yeah. Why not teach everyone? Let's do this. This is great. This is great promotion for a stud like you.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So for energy, this one, the hands are going to come up.
Okay.
And we're going to be breathing in and out.
Should I be standing up or I'm sitting down right now?
No, you can sit down.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We're going to come up and down. This is what our arms are doing. And as our arms are doing this, we're breathing in and out of the nose at a really fast pace. So it'll look something like this. You'll do that for a minute.
A minute? Oh, wow. Okay.
Come on.
If I will. Wait, let's just tell the audience, by the way, you are raising the roof while you're breathing out of your nose. That's basically what you're doing. If you can't see us, right? Yeah. Okay.
We'll call this one raising the roof.
I need a wider chair here. It's probably better if I stood up, but that's okay. Are you ready? Okay. All right. So hands are up, and then
exhale down
through the nose. Okay. Sorry. All right. Wait. Hold on.
Now faster. Faster, Ben. Good. And see how you naturally have a smile on your face? There's actually a lot of studies.
It's a bliss experience.
Yes, there's actually a lot of studies on that though, eh? When we smile, we're tricking our brain into thinking we're happy, and we're sending that dopamine to our brain. So you're a natural.
Okay. So that was number one. What's our second one? Let's do anxiety, because a lot of people have anxiety. Okay. We all do it. Yeah. It's a way to balance it. Go ahead.
So one of the coolest things and easiest things you can do for anxiety is humming.
Okay.
So for this one, we're going to take a breath in through our nose, but then our exhale, we're going to hum. So it'll look and sound something like this. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out.
That's a long hum.
I do this a lot.
You're like an opera star. So
So
what's this? Is it this way? It's a. How long do you do the hum?
you're going to do that 7 times.
So, all right, I'm gonna do it 7 times. I am gonna be a different person at the other end. Are you ready?
You
Are
really
you
are.
doing? You gotta do it with me.
Yeah, that was 2.
All right, we're done too. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do it together. Right? How many we got here?
One more.
Wow,
So you're
I feel
lengthening that
amazing.
exhale. Yeah, humming's awesome. You're lengthening the exhale. And when we lengthen our exhale, we tap into the vagus nerve. And our
Uh-huh.
vagus nerve is what is calming that parasympathetic part of our nervous system. That's a really easy one.
That's great. All right,
Yeah.
what's our third one? I can't
So
wait. I'm like on fire right now. I'm feeling so good.
I know.
Let's keep
So
going. We
the
could do this
third
all
one,
day. What's the third one?
the third one we could do. Why don't we do for sleep? Ooh, I'm going back and forth between a couple.
Okay.
I think for ease of explanation, we'll do a box breath. So for this one, you breathe in for 4. You're going to hold it for 4.
Where are you breathing? Nose or mouth?
Always nose.
Okay,
In
always
for
nose.
4. Hold for 4. Exhale out through the mouth through 4. Hold it out for 4. So you're literally making a box. That's why I call it box breath. So
Okay,
in for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. Hold out for 4. Good. So that one, because you're doing it laying in bed, going to sleep, you're going to do it as long as you need to.
Really?
So there's no set time. Yeah. Sometimes maybe you'll just do 5 and you'll be like, oh, I feel so much better. And other times you might need to do it for a full minute. But that one can be really good.
So instead of like a lot of people, Shannon, like to drink coffee in the afternoon, I don't do caffeine anymore. I stopped, I think probably a year ago.
Yeah.
And it was a great decision for me. I get better sleep, but
Yes.
is the first exercise we did, is that a great way to build energy
Absolutely.
instead of having that cup of coffee? Because,
Absolutely.
breathing exercise are really a healthy alternative than the things we rely on to keep us
Yeah.
up, like caffeine.
Absolutely.
Do you
Yes.
teach that a lot to your clients?
I do. Yeah. A lot of them have difficulty sleeping and a lot of it's stress induced, but it is, you're right. It's our diet and it's what we're putting in our system. And people love caffeine and it definitely affects the way that we sleep. But I would much rather use something like breath than have to put something in my body. Yeah.
Are you practicing what you're teaching every day? Is this something that's like religious to you, that when you go through anxiety or stress, or you want to get to bed and you're having trouble going
Oh
to
yeah,
sleep?
of course.
Okay.
I run more on that anxious side. That's actually what got me into breath work. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called POTS, which is just a dysregulation of your nervous system. And I was able to completely reverse it using a bunch of different techniques, but much of it was through breath. And so, there are still definitely days where I feel anxious and I have to use these techniques. It's just when you do it so often, you start to reset that nervous system, like I was saying, so that I'm able to get back down to baseline pretty quickly. I mean, a lot of these I can just do in the car. Like if I'm driving to go get the kids and I'm starting to feel a little bit funny, and it's like, okay, focus, reconnect, focus back to the breath, extend your exhale. It's very simple things. Like this is not crazy difficult stuff.
And this, the net effect is you show up better as a person. You
Yes.
communicate better. You're
Yes.
easier to be around, less stressed. You influence people better because you're balancing your emotions. So it's nothing but good news what you do for the
Right. Well,
output.
and if you think about it, you can't connect with others if you can't connect with yourself.
That's right.
And it's such a common thing that I see in these entrepreneurs is, why can't I connect with my wife or my husband? Why am I having difficulty with this employee? And when it really comes down to it, they can't connect with themselves. And so they have to take responsibility for learning how to do that and learning how to feel and recognizing that awareness of what's going on in their own body, in their own system, and clearing that out. And so a lot of the somatic breath work that I do focuses on clearing out those blockages that we've created. We come into this world full of peace and love and happiness and energy. And it's over time, through childhood and adulthood, these things start to happen that break us down and create these blockages. And we have trauma and we have stress and we all have shit. We all carry it, right?
Hmm.
Some bigger than others. But I find that the most successful people have the biggest traumas. And they then have difficulty connecting with themselves and connecting with others. So if I can get in there and help them, hold the space because they're doing all the work, help them clear out that trauma, clear out that stress, they're better able to connect with themselves and others.
So, it, in my view, breath work is having similar benefits to mental health activities like meditation. They help
Absolutely.
you slow down, make space, pay attention, which I'm sure you agree. Breathwork's getting a lot of attention these days in some areas of society, but I wouldn't call it mainstream. Like you have to really
Right.
be, you have to be like me and you. Like we have to be open minded,
Yeah.
willing to learn, willing to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, how do I become the best version of myself? I mean, I've spent so much time and money becoming that
Yes.
person to become
Yes.
authentic, and
Yes.
it's a process. Why do you believe the work you do isn't more common in our culture when it's so simple?
Yeah,
And do you think it will be someday? That
I
is it
do.
just a matter of time?
I do. I think for whatever reason, society, culture, whatever, we've been taught that this is like woo woo,
Hmm.
and it's actually based in science. So much of this has been studied for so long. Um, but for whatever reason, people got away from wanting to connect, from wanting to be in community. I mean, look at us. We're all, on a computer or on our phone. We're looking down. We're in a contracted state. I mean, it's
Hmm.
just different now,
Yeah.
right? But I
Yeah.
think once people realize that, oh, shit, we need to be back in expansion and open and magnetic to the world. You can't do that in a contracted state. So yeah, unfortunately, I do. I think it's our culture and our communities that are focusing on being individuals and doing it all on your own. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not always. Yes, that works sometimes, but that's actually not always what brings the greatest success.
How do you feel about this whole Zoom, and we use Microsoft Teams at my office at
Mhm.
Alliance? How do you feel about this whole Zoom and people working at home remotely and
I,
not connecting? Because
it's not.
I'm an old school man. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the osmosis of having an office. I like
Yes.
connecting. I like
Yes.
meeting people in person. I like shaking hands. I like giving hugs now, like
Yes.
all that stuff to connect with people. And I feel like we do these things in these virtual podcasts and
Mhm.
I have hundreds of calls every day on a Zoom, and
Yeah.
it's great that I get to see you.
Right.
But the fact that I'm not with you and I can't feel your physiology, I can't look you in your eyes,
Yeah.
I can't feel your emotions
Yeah.
and really help you, and you
Right.
could help me.
Right.
there's that lost art now. It just
No, it
it's
is.
so much different. And
And
I'm
what you're
not a big fan of it, but people love the ability of like, if I'm remote, I don't have to be accountable.
well, exactly. They love it because they're afraid to connect.
Exactly.
Right?
There
It
you
feels
go. We could
they're
just
not
wrap the show up right now because that's exactly what's going
what it
on.
is. They don't want to be vulnerable. It's scary to be vulnerable. It's
It
scary
sure
to
is.
be felt or be
Hmm.
seen, yet all of us are craving to be seen.
Right.
And so the energy that you're talking about is EMF, right? Your electromagnetic field. I
Hmm.
just did a post about this today in my story. Is our electromagnetic field comes out like 9 feet around us. It's like our magnetic bubble.
Hmm.
You feel that when you're in a room with someone. That's why when you walk in with some people, you're like, oh, like there's something about them I don't like. Or vice versa. Oh gosh, I just love being around them. And yes, I think we've gotten away from wanting to feel that because it makes us feel vulnerable.
There's a saying, and I don't know if you heard this, is that, and probably a lot of your clients are looking for this. I know I was for years. I had to learn this was we're all looking for happiness and
Yes.
for our environment to change. But what I've learned is if you're happy, your environment will change around you for what you
Absolutely.
want. How do
Yes.
you feel about that?
No, I agree. We can create our reality. I have a
Hmm.
tattoo on me that
What does
means
that
that
say?
symbol. Well,
Roll
this
down
says,
that sleeve. What does
I
that say?
know, like, where am I? This says breathe.
Is that marker? Is that a real tattoo?
It's a real tattoo. But I have a
Someone's got
symbol.
some serious cursive going on there.
I know. I have a symbol on here that says you
Uh huh.
create your own reality. We get to choose. That is our superpower. We get to choose every day how we want to feel, how we want to act, how we want to react. And yes, I believe that that influences the environment that we're around and the lens that we're seeing through.
Hmm. So
Hmm.
take me through. So I'm with you. We do a 90-minute session.
Hmm.
What is the end result to promote what you do? Like what? So we're together. We do a 90-minute session. All of a sudden, I wake up. I'm a new man.
Yeah.
Is it? Am I? You're like, holy shit, Ben. You look 10 years younger. But
Oh,
do
wouldn't that
you
be great?
sign me up?
I know.
Do you? Do you? Is it getting rid of limited beliefs? Is that like what? And then how often do people want to come see you to do another one? Is it like this will last, till you have the next round of rude experiences coming away,
Right.
which is like a daily basis, people beating on you daily? How does
Right.
that work if we go through 90 minutes? Walk me through that.
Well, I will tell you, everyone's experience is different. Okay.
Okay.
Every one of your experiences will be different. So every
Okay.
time you do it for yourself, you will have a different experience because we're healing like an onion, right? We're peeling back all these layers. And so each time you'll experience something different. But I will tell you the 90 minutes, it's a lot of me talking and teaching. Then it's
Hmm.
about 60 minutes of breath. So the first 30 minutes is hard. It's very uncomfortable. I'm pushing you. I'm asking you questions. I'm really making you, enter that subconscious and see where those limiting beliefs are and what those limiting beliefs are. Is it that I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy of love or, we're tapping into those fears. We all have them. And then the last 30 minutes, now we're regulating the nervous system and I'm a lot nicer and we're coming back down to baseline and we're breathing in love and gratitude and all those really good feel good emotions that
Hmm.
help bring us into coherence, right? That all of
Hmm.
our systems will work nicely together when we're in that coherent state. When you come out of the journey, it's really up to the individual how much they want to share with me. People
Hmm.
typically end up sharing quite a bit, but you don't necessarily have to. A lot of times you can just journal, what came up for you, maybe getting some clarity on certain parts of your business or your home life or, whatever it may be. And then people oftentimes, if it's a one-on-one, they'll like to do it once a month until it's kind of like therapy, right? It's like
Right.
once a month
Yeah.
for 6 sessions. There's no set recipe, but oftentimes it's kind of like that until you feel like, all right, yeah, like I feel good. Like I feel like my nervous system's regulated. I'm not as stressed. I'm reacting in a healthier way, to my wife or my business partners or whatever it may be. But then for these big mastermind groups that fly me out or some of them I go once a month and some of them it's twice a year,
Hmm.
so it really kind of depends on what the goal of the individual is, and we work together to kind of figure that out.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Sign me
Yeah.
up.
Okay, let's go.
Well, I'm serious. I'm calling you afterwards. We're figuring out a time. So
Good.
your company's called Soul Journey Breathwork.
Soul Journey Breathwork.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, how did you pick the name?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't
here
remember.
we'll go a little bit.
Actually, you know what? I'm trying to think back now when I was choosing this, because my big slogan is remember who you are, right?
That's
And
great.
so I was like, okay, if I want them to remember who they are, they're going to be taking a journey. Well, they're not taking the journey, their soul's taking the journey. And so soul journey breathwork.
There you go.
That's what it
Boom.
was, Ben. Oh, that was a long time ago.
How do the ideas of breathing and the soul's journey intersect in how you approach what you do?
Well, we don't ever really tap into our soul, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like this breath allows us to connect back to ourselves so we can remember who we are. We can remember our soul's mission, why we're here. Why are we here? What are we here to do? What did I come here to do?
Right.
We don't ask ourselves that very often.
And what most people know is that everyone has their own DNA. We're all on this earth to do something.
Yes.
We're all put here for some specific reason, and that all of us are unique. We're not all the same.
Yeah.
And if we appreciate that and are grateful for that, you can really learn from other people, because the perception of anything going on, and you probably see this all the time, is you'll look at, I could show you this bottle of water, and you're gonna say something that looks like the bottle of water. It's a bottle of water, or you might have an adjective for it, and I might look at it and say, yeah, it keeps me thirsty. It helps me interview you a lot better.
Right.
So we all have different meanings and perceptions, and if we understand that, you could learn a lot from people.
Yeah.
I always find that when someone's talking or they're criticizing me, or there's an issue, whatever, it's a teaching moment to me, where I say, Ben, what am I learning here? What am I getting out of this?
Right. Well,
and I think part of your work helps with that.
For sure. Awareness is huge. It also helps people realize and recognize their power, and that we're limitless. We have all these limits on ourselves. And why? I mean, really, we're limitless beings.
Well, you know why? It's because of fear.
Sure.
The goal is to live in love, right? There's two states. You can either be in love, or you can be in fear.
In fear. Yeah.
So it's always saying to yourself, well, why am I having this disempowering conversation about myself, or Shannon, or someone else, and how do I control that and not gossip about myself or someone else? And how do I control my fears and all those?
Right.
I'm sure your breath work is just another extension to help you get through
those
disempowering conversations you have with yourself, because our thoughts are everything. We have like hundreds of thoughts. I'm sure, like right now, you and I are thinking of 1,000 things, and so how you control it and balance it and deal with it, it's work. It's a lot of work. I mean, are you journaling every day? Do you journal?
No, I don't. I don't. I journal in my mind.
Okay.
I have all the compartments.
Have you considered journaling? Because obviously what you teach, and
I
you probably
did.
come up with a lot of thoughts.
I did. When I was young, I used to journal all the time. I think there's different forms of expression, and it's important that everyone finds what type of expression works for them.
Right.
So journaling when I was young was amazing, but now as an adult, I don't find it as beneficial for me. My favorite forms of expression are either working out really hard or crying. I like either one of those. I just, that's how I release the most. But it's tapping back into what you were saying about the fear. I find so many people, a lot of their fear revolves around this fear of feeling. And they don't want to feel the things that come up in these breathwork sessions. And so I always stress that it's important to give yourself permission to feel. That part of that disconnect and getting away from being connected with ourselves is we don't allow ourselves to feel. And we have all these incredible emotions, and if we're going to feel the high highs, we have to be able to feel those low lows. And so working through the fear of feeling is really important.
Is it challenging in a group environment? Well, especially you have to be very vulnerable in front of you for
Yes.
this to be productive. I would
Yes. And
believe
so
it makes sense.
my goal in the first 15 minutes is to set up a safe space, a
Hmm.
safe container,
Hmm.
a lot of education, so that they do feel safe to express and they do feel safe to be vulnerable with me. And especially, like you said, in a group around all these other people.
Hmm.
Sometimes in masterminds, they all know each other, but sometimes they've just met that morning.
Hmm.
And so I always bring eye masks and allow people put the eye mask on, and just, my music is really loud. I'm loud. So there's like a lot going on in the room, that then allows them to express. And then as people start expressing and screaming and yelling and crying, I'm doing it with them. I'm matching them, or oftentimes trying to raise them like 20%. So once you're in there, it's just kind of like a free for all of everyone with all these different emotions. But then, like I said, the last 30 minutes, it calms down
Well,
and
that's amazing because
yeah,
that's a real art that you can get people to feel safe,
yeah,
especially like say you walk in with a leadership team with a company
yes,
and they don't want expressing their shit out in the open
yes,
and they're
yes,
about to.
right.
And so the fact that you can provide a safe space is amazing
Well,
and
thank you.
keep doing that. That's phenomenal.
Thank you.
So your company tagline is connecting humans back to themselves one deep breath at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fantastic. What does that mean to you?
Oh, that that's all it takes. Sometimes
Uh-huh.
it just takes that conscious breath of awareness to just reconnect with yourself. Just like we were talking about earlier when we first
Right.
got started. That's what we tell our kids.
Right.
You
And
can,
that impacts you on a metaphysical level, which is
absolutely,
great.
yeah. Mentally, physically, yeah, emotionally. It's important that we have all those systems in coherence, in alignment. Because if those systems aren't in alignment, then we're not going to be in alignment. And what I always tell my groups, alignment equals velocity,
Hmm.
right? We go further faster when we're in alignment.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. That's why people say slow down and you'll accelerate the process faster.
exactly. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So I imagine you have all sorts of clients. And I'm curious, I wanted to ask this for a while. Are there any specific kinds of clients or cases that are the most satisfying for you as a practitioner to help people with? And what part of your day-to-day job is the most rewarding to you?
You know, um, I have found my niche with entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it very rewarding because I was married to one for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I think for 18 years and building 8 businesses and seeing the toll that it took on his body and his mental health,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to, I guess, catch that before it
Mm-hmm.
happens with a lot of these people,
Mm-hmm.
is very rewarding to me. But honestly, the cool part about this breath work is that no matter what, everyone has an experience. Each experience is unique. And so just hearing the feedback of the breakthroughs that they've had, or that they finally were able to you know connect with their mom after our session, or I mean, sometimes it's not even business related, right? They're having difficulties in their business, but really the difficulty is from a childhood trauma. um,
Right.
so so yeah, a lot of the reward comes post session when they reach out to me like a month later, and they're able to tell me like, my business has tripled in sales, or I'm finally talking to my mom again, or
Oh, that's fantastic. What
yeah.
an impact. What a great
And
thing you
it
do.
does feel good to have
I
impact.
hope more and more people learn about you and utilize your services because it sounds fantastic. Look, us entrepreneurs, we're a mess.
Yeah.
Okay. It's lonely. Okay.
Yes.
I've been running Alliance. I started over 28 years ago, Shannon,
Yeah.
and it's lonely
Yeah.
and a lot of travel, a lot of grinding.
Yes.
And we need folks like you to help us get through the shit that we deal with every day and the childhood traumas, root experiences we have, and clearing
Yes.
them, all these things. And because when you're an entrepreneur, you hear a lot of, you're not going to be able to do that. You can't.
Of
A lot
course.
of doubters, a lot
Yes.
of haters out there. And so it's constant that you are always battling yourself. And
Yes.
so if your work is helping people get through these experiences and limited beliefs, that's priceless to me.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
I'm excited. I think it's wonderful what you do,
Well, thank
and
you.
keep doing it. It's just incredible. Was there ever a time, we're all works in progress. The name of our show is called I Own It.
Yeah.
And it correlates to you. It's why I wanted you on the show, because you have a lot of similarities to what I believe in.
Yes.
And you own and are responsible for every part of your life. That's what I Own It means.
Yep.
We're all works in progress, as you know from your work. It's like
Yeah.
I'm talking to the expert who understands that concept, which is
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah.
With that being said, was there a time that you didn't own it, that you look back, you're like, God, I wasn't responsible for my life here and I was struggling? And what was that moment in
Oh,
your
yeah.
life that you didn't own it?
I'm sure I've had a lot of them. All the time. Gosh, the biggest one that stands out though, you know, probably one of my biggest regrets. I was a competitive soccer player.
Really?
And it got to the point in high school, I don't know if you played sports, but in that like
Sure.
junior, senior year when the scouts start coming and
Mm-hmm.
all the big tournaments, we were always in California playing, the scouts were there. And I had so many limiting beliefs of not being good enough that instead of risking not being good enough, I quit.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, oh, well, I don't want to risk them not wanting me or not giving me a scholarship because all my other teammates are starting to get offers.
Mm-hmm.
So my senior year, I just threw in the towel and pretended like I was burnt out and done with soccer when in reality, I was afraid to fail. I was afraid that,
What'd you learn from that experience? Like, what came out of it?
I didn't recognize it until, gosh, much later, probably in my 30s. And it was the beginning of me realizing that I would quit things to prevent failing. I mean, I did it with jobs. I did it all the thing. And then I would just keep going to school, and then I'd get another job, and then I'd quit, and I'd keep going to school. I mean, that's why I have like 5 degrees. But I think once I got late in my 30s, I just realized that I needed to work through those feelings of not being good enough and afraid of failure. And so I did a lot of EMDR therapy to clear some of those limiting beliefs. And then I don't know. I feel like you don't figure your shit out until you're older anyways. Now I'm 43 and I'm like, yes, I am finally starting to understand life.
Wow. You just hit it. That was with me too. It's like I didn't,
Yeah.
well, because when I was younger, okay, like there was no internet, remember those days? There was no internet
Right.
to learn all the shit that we learn right now and see
Yeah.
what's going on out there and really experience life. And then as you get older and then technology develops, it's like, okay, now we understand the human brain and the mind and how the mind and body connect.
Yes.
And so now all of a sudden, there's a breathing expert out there in the world,
Right.
like yourself, and all these different things. And it's like, oh my God, what if we had this? What if we were teaching this stuff in school? Like,
Yeah.
could you imagine if they taught the breath work that you do in school for kids that are about to take tests? Like, you could teach your kids this stuff, and how great it would be when they take tests. They want to ask a girl or a boy out to a dance.
Right.
Not having anxiety going to a sporting event at school, thinking that people are going to make fun of them or look at them funny. I mean,
Right.
think of how much of an impact just teaching what you know in school when you're younger,
I
and
know.
when they're in elementary school, could just roll, and how much of our society we have.
No,
And it's
yeah.
amazing that we don't take this stuff as serious as we should.
I know.
And hopefully with your wonderful talents, that will start changing and people start realizing and saying, I got to bring my kids to Shannon because this stuff really works. It works on me. Just imagine a kid
Right.
that's maturing
Right.
could learn all this stuff. So
No, it'd be
good
amazing.
job. That's
Yeah.
awesome. What you do is amazing. I think it's great. And so you're healthy, like you look great and you stay fit.
I do.
and you're teaching breath work. What do you do for your health? What's a typical day or week for you?
So I weight train every day.
Okay. All
Um,
right.
I I was a physical therapist before
That
I
I know.
did breath work, so I've kind of always been into the body and the importance of strength training. So I do that. I walk my dogs 4 miles
Wow.
almost every day. So between walking and working out, those are kind of my two main things. And then in terms of meditation, I normally on when I'm trying to fall asleep, will try to I put something on and just do like a quick little meditation. But that definitely is not every night. There are lots of nights where I just hit my pillow and pass out. But those nights where you're feeling a little bit anxious and it's like, oh shit, I'm not going to sleep tonight. My mind's going a million miles an hour and I'm thinking about all my things. And, those are the nights where I like put something on and listen to it.
What do you say about advising people with their phone? We are so tied to technology,
Mm-hmm.
social media, texting, emails, you name it.
Yeah.
Do you suggest that an hour before
Well,
they're
that's what
winding
they
down for
say.
bed, you get rid of the electronics?
Yeah. I mean, ideally it's when the sun sets,
Uh huh.
um, in order to like not affect your biorhythms,
Hmm.
but it's not, I mean, I just don't know. Is that possible? I don't know.
Well,
Um,
the problem is
I
if you're
mean,
at your office and it's dark out, especially some of the cities around the country,
right.
it gets dark at 4, 5 o'clock, 5:30, and people are
I
still at their
know.
office. That's physical. That's not going to happen.
I just feel like sometimes people give this advice and you're like, okay, buddy, are you doing that? It's
Right.
like, yeah, that makes sense. But like, I have kids I need to check on and I have, you know what I mean? Like I've got
Right.
life going on. I'm confirming appointments for tomorrow or whatever. But I mean, yes, ideally I try not to be on my phone right before bed, but I mean, it happens. I have to find my Instagram memes for the next day, you know.
You have a great account. What is the best way to follow you?
Instagram's the best.
All right. So it's
And
Dr. Shannon Sperber.
yep, Dr. Shannon
Awesome.
Sperber.
I follow her. She's amazing.
Uh,
Great,
only if you're
great
into
content.
only if you're into dirty memes.
I'm totally into dirty memes.
I know.
So we're
Uh,
so Shannon, you have been amazing guest. We're gonna wrap up
okay.
with our 3 questions. Okay. Oh wait, by the way, you have a website. You might as well tell everyone what your website is in case they want you,
It's
like
just my
me, you
name,
want you. It's just a name. So it's
shannonsperber.com.
shannonsperber.com so
Yep.
everyone knows. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap up with our 3 questions. Are you ready?
I guess. Yeah. I'm
I
ready.
guess you're supposed to say yeah, no problem. You wanna do like a little breathing exercise before we do get into this, relieve
Not
some
really.
anxiety? Okay,
No.
you're good. All right. So in our studio we have a couch. Okay. I would say, Shannon, get on the couch and lay down. Now I'm going to be the teacher. We're going to switch roles on you.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to say, lay down. Okay. You are a bright, intelligent, beautiful woman, and you're laying down, and you can go back to when you're 16 years old and talk to yourself
Mm.
and teach yourself a lesson from all the experience and the gray matter between your ears and the knowledge. What would you tell your 16-year-old self now, being who you are, Shannon?
Mhm. You are worthy of love and you are
Hmm.
limitless.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Love that.
Yep.
All right. So it's our last day on earth. God forbid. It's just me and you.
Oh,
It's our last meal.
okay.
What are we eating and what are we drinking? You could have anything you want. And,
Ooh,
and and you could bring it from the vault. You can say this is what I've always wanted or this is what I love.
yeah.
What are we eating together? It's your choice. And I'm riding shotgun with you.
Oh gosh, I would want to eat all the things.
Let's lay it on the
Well,
table.
I am drinking wine, all the
Okay.
wine, and I would be eating a big steak dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be
Awesome.
having a filet and the
Nice.
potatoes and
Uh-huh.
asparagus and some
Uh-huh.
béarnaise sauce and Brussels sprouts,
Oh,
probably with some bacon.
wow.
Yeah,
You're going out in
I'm
style.
going out with a bang.
Are we a red wine or a white wine type
I love
drinker?
both of them, but if I'm having
Okay.
steak, I'll have red.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Very nice. So in our studios, you can't see everything, but to my left, you're right, we have a grand piano, we have a drum set, and we have 6 electric guitars.
Okay.
You're in, and by the way, next time you come in Laguna, we have to do it from here.
Yeah. That'd be
It's so much better in studio
Okay.
with you. We'll go back to what we talked about. Remember the in person?
Yes.
It's so much better. You connect
Absolutely.
so much better. All right. So you can pick any musician or band to play us a song. We're sitting in the studio here. You're with me. Who are you bringing in? Like who would you like? Now, by the way, I forgot to add to this. They could be living or deceased.
Okay.
Who are you bringing in?
Phil Collins.
Wow. What's Phil playing for us?
I don't know, but when I was a little girl in 3rd grade,
Uh-huh.
I wanted to be the drummer for Phil Collins's band.
Right.
Right when you said
I
drum.
thought he's the drummer. Isn't he? He also
No.
drums.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
I knew he had a drummer.
he's an amazing drummer. You didn't know that?
Well,
Wow. So
yeah.
he could play every instrument. He's amazing.
Yeah.
So what song is he playing for us? You have a certain song?
No, I love all his songs.
No?
I just
Okay.
that like era of my life, I think it just, it would feel so good.
So if you heard him play like In the Air Tonight, would that work?
Yeah, there you go.
You'll be in my heart.
Yeah, no, In the Air would be great.
Okay. Or he can play some Brother Bear from that movie.
Yes.
Like I'm on my way.
Yeah.
We'll have him play all.
That'd be amazing.
While we're eating a
Come on,
filet and
Phil.
drinking a great cab.
Yeah, this is going to be the greatest day ever.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you.
Everyone, I encourage you, follow Shannon. She's spectacular. She's a wonderful person and provides so much value out into the world. And I'm just a huge fan. And so if you are interested in listening to more episodes like this, drop kick that lower hand red button on YouTube and click subscribe. Feel free to like us or review us. The more likes we get, the better content and the more we can share with the universe. So feel free to log on to YouTube and do that. If you want to follow me, go to benreinberg.com. Shortly, I'll be teaching commercial real estate all over the world to help people build wealth for their own portfolios and to create their own legacies. If you want to learn more about my company, go to alliancecgc.com and you can learn everything about commercial real estate. You can invest in our brand new Alliance Medical Property Fund. It's taking off like a skyrocket. It's one of the best funds out there in the United States and love to share it with you. And obviously, feel free to listen to the Ben Reinberg I Own It podcast on all the different platforms out there. So, Dr. Shannon Sperber, what a pleasure. And thank you so much for coming on. It was great seeing you.
Thank you. You're amazing, Ben. Thank you for spreading
you.
all this awesome information.
Thank you for listening to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg. To hear our past episodes and connect with Ben, visit benreinberg.com.